How to determine if a woman is for the streets. This is quite a popular meme term that's used to describe women that are promiscuous, women that are most definitely not relationship material. And in today's video, I want to go through an email from a subscriber called Caleb, who unfortunately got involved with a woman that had some serious red flags that disqualify her from the get-go, from the very beginning, from ever being relationship material. And this is something that I really want you guys to understand, especially if you're a guy and you never seem to get lucky with a woman, you always seem to keep dating the same type of girl, and it just never seems to go anywhere, right? I see a lot of men, they settle for a woman, right? You lead with your lust, you're just happy to have someone because it's better than being alone. Next thing you know, you develop an emotional attachment, you ignore all the red flags, and you're involved with a woman that's only going to cause you harm. And next thing you know, you're left heartbroken and you don't even understand why. You can avoid a bad woman, a woman that's not good for you, if you take the time to judge her behavior, to get to know her internal qualities, and take things very, very slowly, right? Because at the very beginning, your emotions are not going to be involved. Your lust might be involved, which is why if you have self-control and you can pull back, you can ask quality questions about her background, her lifestyle, her principles, and you can test her to determine if she's a good match for you. Keep this in the back of your mind as I go through this email. So the subscriber is called Caleb, right? And this is what he said. Hey Christian, my name's Caleb and I'm 23 years old. I've been watching your channel as of lately and I'm very impressed with your content. I'm sure you'll eventually be at the top of the leaderboards of relationship advice soon. I really appreciate that. I was curious about your pricing and booking a call with you. I also wanted to email you about my situation and get your feedback on it. In the case you decide to make a video on it, you are free to use my actual name. I'm going to be as open as possible to get your most accurate feedback. For all you guys that watch my content and you're not sure whether you want to reach out, if you want emotional support, you want any questions about relationship or to share your email or break anything down that you're dealing with, the email is in the description of every single video that I post and it's on the About tab on the YouTube channel. I will also repeat this at the end of the video. I know that most men, they get no help, they get no support, and there's no one to help them improve or guide them. It's important for a man to have that in order for him to develop and become more masculine. Because at the end of the day, we all need help. Okay, you can't do everything by yourself. So if you do need some support, you do need some help, reach out to me. I dated a girl in college named Chloe for 3 long years. We both had a strong hobby towards cars, and that's ultimately what brought us together. So right off the bat, I'm seeing that there's compatibility there. We'll see. We bonded over them and did lots of work together. And we're both big Mustang people, being that we both drove Mustangs. I think it's important to note that we started out as just friends and eventually became best friends with one another. I initially was not physically attracted to her as she wasn't my type. But as time progressed, I became attracted to her on an emotional level and ended up dating this girl. What have I told you guys 1 billion times? There is no such thing as men and women being friends, okay? If a man and a woman spend enough time together, they will eventually build an emotional attachment. Caleb just said that she wasn't his type. In fact, when we were on the coaching call, he told me that she was a 6 out of 10. So she was like barely scraping by in the looks department, in his eyes. And guess what? You spend enough time, you bond over what you were compatible with. One thing leads to another, you develop an emotional attachment. So date a girl and she's like, we are just friends. Yeah, as I mentioned before in other videos, that is not true. Okay, because anytime a man and a woman are in close proximity, over a period of time, an attachment and feelings will form. That is just the way it goes, right? So it really wasn't his type, which means he settled. I always tell you guys, go for a woman that it is an 8, 9 or a 10, at least in looks, because if you are more physically attracted to her and she feels the same way, she also sees you as an 8, 9 or a 10, there is chemistry on both ways. That is where that passion and fire is going to come from both being very physically attracted to each other. Because if the attraction is only emotional, that can slowly fade over time with complacency. See what I'm saying? So he really wasn't leading with that. He was going through with the compatibility. They both like cars. They're both big Mustang fans. So they bonded over their shared interest, right? As friends do. In this case, the friends are opposite genders. He's a man, she's a woman. There's always going to be sexual chemistry. Given enough time in close proximity, one thing led to another, they're in a relationship. So if you're a girl, he tells you he's just a friend, you want to think about what type of woman you're dating. We loved each other to death, and we made the mistake of immediately staying at each other's dorms. So right off the bat, we started living together. He says here, mistake. Yep. And at that time, it seemed like a great idea. Fast forward 2 years, and we got an apartment together. So after 2 years of getting to know each other, dating, being in a serious relationship, now it's more or less normal if you're considering moving in. Because it's been 2 years, okay? Limerence, that feeling of the honeymoon stage, is typically going to last between, 6 months to a year and a half, even more in some cases. It can vary. But more or less 2 years, if you do want to move in, this is around the time where you can consider it, okay? Anything sooner than that, you don't know who they are. Because by 2 years, you're going to see fights, you're going to see ups and downs, you're going to see what they're like on a good day, on a bad day. You're going to know a little bit more about their character, or lack thereof, right? Because nobody can keep a mask on forever. So if you're dating a narcissistic woman, or a woman who's emotionally or mentally unstable, eventually she's going to slip up by 2 years' time. So by then, more or less, it's okay if you want to move in. This is when the red flags start. I want to know, at this point in our relationship, I noticed a major red flag or two that I acknowledged and tried talking to her about. Before we get into the red flags, I want to tell you 2 things that Caleb told me on our coaching call that I need to include right now to give you guys the layout. So when you hear what I'm about to say, everything that is said in the rest of the email is going to make complete sense. One of the first things I asked Caleb was, tell me about her family background. Did she have a good relationship with the parents, especially her father? This is what he told me. She grew up in a family where her parents were not very present in her life. Her father was always removed, busy with his own things. Her mother was the same way. In fact, her mother hired a nanny, right, to basically babysit and care for her. Which means if both parents are really out the home, who's raising them? Huh? Where are the principles? Where are the values? Where is the discipline? Where is the love? The attention? How is she going to be taught how to value herself? How can she run to her parents when she has a problem? Where is she going to develop any emotional intelligence or self-worth if her parents aren't there to love her? So he told me when she got to become a teenager, her parents split up, divorced. And since then, she was never the same emotionally. In fact, when he asked her about her parents, she said she doesn't really want to talk about it. And it's a time for her that was very difficult emotionally. And he also found this out as well because he made an attempt to get to know her family, and she had a few siblings, and he got along with them. And they also told him that their sister, right, this girl, Chloe, she, after her parents divorced, she struggled emotionally to get along with the father. And you guys know what I've said with women that have daddy issues. The video, I'll make sure it's at the end, it will pop up. but you can go watch it. I did a video on daddy issues, right? The major red flag you would never want to avoid in women. Okay, so this is the very first thing. This is the first red flag which you're going to see, where all the decisions she made, where they come from. Because she was, basically emotionally damaged since her childhood. Okay? And if you date a woman that has not healed from a broken home, it's never going to end well. So when you meet a woman, one of the first things you want to ask guys is, tell me about your family. Do you love your mum? Do you love your dad? Women that are healthy, you're always going to hear them say, my dad is my hero. I love him. He's the best. Even if she tells you if she's had difficulties, she will tell you, you know what? My family, we've gone through some hardships, but I love them a lot. I'm very close to them. That woman is more likely to value family, closeness, openness, good communication, loyalty, boundaries, respect, because she came from a good loving home. However, there are situations where a woman grows up in a family that is broken, and it's not her fault. And if you ask a woman about her family, she might tell you, you know what, I grew up in a screwed up family, but I overcame the difficult times, and I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm at a place where I've forgiven my parents, and I moved on from that. In that case, it is still okay to date her, because she's done the work on herself. But you meet a girl, and she tells you, I hate my dad, I hate my mum, I don't want to talk about it. Run. You run for the hills, mate, because that woman has daddy issues. And if she does not respect or love her father, what makes you think she's going to love or respect you? So that's the first thing I want to mention about this girl, Chloe. The second thing he told me, I did a video a long time ago, which was titled, What is pair bonding and does her sexual past, sexual history matter? The answer is, it does matter a lot. Especially if you're dating a woman and you're looking for a girl who could one day be a wife, mother to your children, if you want to have kids. Because if you want a family, you need to be a strong, masculine man with good values, and you also need a good, feminine woman with the same values. And more importantly, a woman that values herself, that has integrity and dignity. So I asked Caleb, tell me about her sexual past, because if you've known her for a couple of years, you're going to more or less know about her. And he said that she had slept with 23 guys before him. And this is the only girl he was with. This was his first woman. This was his first relationship. So right off the bat, this here is an instant disqualifier. So Caleb said he's 23, right? And Chloe was just 3 years younger than him. So if they've been together for 3 years, when he was 21, she was about 18, right? When she was 18, she'd been with 23 guys. Look, I really want all of you to understand this, especially for you young guys watching. If a girl is between that age, just finished high school, going into college, her body count should literally be, and we're talking if, a college boyfriend, a high school boyfriend, so 1 or 2, or in case she's a very conservative woman and she has a lot of self-control, she still might even be a virgin. That's really what you're looking for. That's going to be normal around that age group, around that age gap. That tells you that woman at least values herself to a degree. 23 men this girl had slept with. Girls that have one-night stands, engage in casual sex, they don't value themselves. I did a video as well talking about easy women. Why you want to avoid. These women have no standards, they have no self-respect, and they give themselves to every man. Remember, if a woman's going to give herself easily to you, it's because she gives herself easily to other men. Okay? That woman does not value herself. She runs the risk of getting pregnant. Why is she sleeping around? She's looking for other men to fill the void. This will change the rewiring in her brain. Serotonin, dopamine, it's all going to be messed up. All those cables are going to get fried, and she will lose the ability to form deep, meaningful, intimate connections. So since she grew up in a broken home, she's basically running on survival mode, and she's trying to fill that hole inside of her, that missing love she never got from her father. Promiscuous women and women that have daddy issues are an instant disqualifier. And these girls always turn out to be the ones that are for the streets. This is what I want to say first of all, to lay out the background and the context for you guys to understand the red flags that Caleb saw now. Okay? But at the end of the day, those two red flags, those are things you can figure out by just asking a woman questions when you meet her, guys. Alright, you don't wanna get to the point where you're dating one of these girls and she's had all these 23 men. That's like there's one slice of pizza left. 10 people take a bite. What's left of it is like one mouthful, and you eat it. You're eating the leftovers. She's been ran through by 23 men. Okay? That's not an indication that a woman has self-worth or dignity. And if she doesn't value herself, why should you? Something to think about. So, now let's carry on with the red flags that Caleb noticed, when he should have noticed these other red flags before. But this is what happens. If you don't have standards, you don't know what you're looking for in a woman, you're just happy to have her, you just go with the flow, you go with your emotions instead of your reason, you can get pulled into a situation like this. So, fast forward 2 years, we got the apartment, and this is when I noticed a major red flag or two that I acknowledged, even tried talking to her about. The first of which is her communication. Everyone told me how important it was, and I agreed. He was obviously telling his friends about it. When we had issues, I tried talking to her about them, and she would never have it. She would shut down and not want to address any issues, which led to me getting upset and causing more arguments. She even said she thought it was better to sweep it under the rug, which absolutely blew me away. Her communication really needed work. So right off the bat, the first red flag that Caleb saw was she's not a good communicator. But now that we know about her background, her family, and the fact that this woman has just been basically ran through, what emotional development did she ever have in her childhood? She felt no love by her father, which means because he wasn't present in her life, and she developed resentment towards him, she doesn't know how to trust a man, she doesn't know how to appreciate a good man, because she never had a parent to communicate with her and show her respect, okay, and build her up emotionally. How could she possibly learn how to communicate with you? As you can see, it was not Caleb's fault she was this way. No amount of you loving a damaged woman is gonna change the way she communicates. And for any women watching, no amount of you loving a damaged man is gonna make him love you back. This is why you want to choose good, healthy, emotionally healthy people to date, right? Quality of partner you choose is your responsibility, but the person they are is not your responsibility. Okay? So this is the first red flag. So obviously Caleb, and I spoke to him, asked him about his family. He loves his parents. He comes from a good home where there was unity. His parents were present in his life. He developed into a healthy, normal, mature adult, which means for him, communication is important because he learned that in his family. And now she's not communicating. He's trying to get her to talk and open up, right? She's not having it. She thinks it's better to just sweep it under the rug. And that's not what you do in a relationship. You have to talk about everything. Another red flag I noticed about her is that she's a very self-centered person. A bit of narcissism going on. It's normal for everybody to have a little bit of an ego. But in this case, when you grow up in a broken home and you have not healed from that, you've done no work on yourself, how are you going to trust other people when you couldn't even trust those who birthed you, your mother and your father? If you don't trust them, you're going to struggle to develop, trust in other people. Therefore, you're going to grow up to be very self-centered, very me, very vain. Okay? which means you're not going to get along with people. Friendships, relationships really ain't going to last long for you. And this is the case for this girl, Chloe. That's unfortunately the environment she grew up in. He said she loved me, she really did, but everything was always about her car and not mine. We always did stuff with her family and not mine. It was always us doing her hobbies and not mine. I tried talking to her about this behaviour and she dodged it. I was too big of a wuss and loved her too much to man up and leave at the time. Besides the communication and the selfishness, we actually had a great relationship. Well, that's your projection of it. Because at the end of the day, when a woman respects you, I'm not even going to, because anyone can say they love you, but when a woman respects you and you're the man in her eyes, she's going to follow your lead. Okay? Look, us men are pretty easy to keep interested in a relationship. When a woman shows us respect, she has feminine traits and she lets us be the man in the relationship. She knows her place as a woman and she's respectful, she's kind, she's open, she's flexible. We're just going to love that woman even more and respect her even more, which in turn is going to make her be more feminine, make her do more of her good behaviour, and you give more, and it's a cycle of normal, healthy love. But when a woman does this, she don't respect you. Everything's about her and not your needs. A relationship's a give and take. You want to give, but you want to make sure that you're receiving back as well. Observe a woman's behaviour, not what she says, but it's what she does. And in this case, it's all about her. And this is why, guys, when you are in a relationship, make sure you're dating your woman, make sure you are courting her and being the man, paying attention to her behaviour. If you want to do something and she doesn't want to do it with you, go and do it alone. If you think, okay, fine, she doesn't want to do this with me, but you, instead of doing it alone, you turn back and change your mind and do what she wants. At that point she knows, he's so weak that he would go and watch the movie that I want or go to the restaurant that I want, despite the fact that he doesn't truly want to do it. Then she knows you're only doing it out of scarcity. You're doing it because you want to impress her, you're afraid to lose her, and because it's better than being alone. A man that values himself, that has high standards, a man of quality, he's happy to be by himself or do what he wants. And if the woman doesn't want to go with him, he does it alone anyway because it's what he wants. Men lead, women follow. A good woman will be happy, she'll be flexible and open to doing things you want to do. Look at what she's doing, very selfish behaviour. For me, that's a big deal breaker, and it should be for you guys as well. Okay, you gotta be the man in the relationship. You can't give your power to her. Okay, God bestowed that upon you as the man, not to the woman. Besides the communication and the selfishness, we actually had a great relationship. We were best friends and got along famously with great chemistry and a great sex life. The last 8 months of our relationship, more red flags. We met a guy who shared our interests on working on cars. And he actually had a really nice shop and lived with every tool we could ever need. Chloe and this guy, Cameron, took a keen interest on working on her car and they actually got along really well. What a coincidence. Remember, and I'm talking to Caleb, I know he's watching, you started off as friends and now she's starting off as friends with this guy. So where do you think that's going to go? Just a co-worker, just a friend, just a buddy. If she really wants friends, she should have female friends. Feminine women, they develop their femininity by hanging around other feminine men. Men develop their masculinity by bonding with other like-minded masculine men. Okay, that's part of manhood. If you hang around other guys, you're going to be like them. Okay, you can genuinely build a friendship with other men, guys, because as a straight man, you have no sexual desire or attraction towards your buddies. Alright? A woman that is straight, she has no physical attraction to her female friends. Therefore, she can actually build a friendship. Between a man and a woman, that is never going to be the case. And there it is, with this guy called Cameron. I trusted her and wanted to have friends, so I okayed it. And not to be superficial, but the guy was extremely unattractive. Not that it matters, it just made me feel more comfortable. Even if the guy's unattractive, remember, in her eyes, all he has to be is like a 5, and she'll build an attachment with him, as time goes on. Unless obviously she's a gold digger or a user, she can stun like an ugly dude and just use him for validation, attention, finances, or whatever she wants to. Obviously, a good quality feminine woman with integrity, she's only going to go for a guy that's masculine, attractive, confident, who shares the same values as her. But obviously we know Chloe, she's promiscuous and she's damaged goods, so, she's not going to have many standards, is she? As time goes on, they become better and better friends, and I also call this guy a friend, as I was over there often working on all the cars together. Towards the last 4 months of our relationship, I started to notice that every time I went over there with them to the shop, I would feel left out. Like they were having a good time and kind of leaving me out of conversations. Almost like I was third wheeling them along. He's just a friend though, right? I tried once again communicating with her saying, Chloe, I feel like every time we go to Cameron's, you guys kind of leave me out and don't really acknowledge me. So you're being honest, but that's also communicating weakness. I mean, she knows already by your behavior, by your body language, that it bothers you. But being a good communicator, he told her. And at this point, should have walked away a long time ago. But, she's already talking to this guy, she's getting closer to him. You can see where it's going. In this case, you don't really want to say to her that it bothers you. All you want to do is just sit back and observe her behavior. Do you catch them flirting? Do you see her hiding her phone from you? Right? All of a sudden, little changes like that. That's what you want to do in this case. Right? You want to see what she does. That is the ultimate test to see, is she truly faithful and loyal to you? Right? How is she when she interacts with another man? Okay? I told her they was kind of go off and do their own thing, and that we used to bond over cars, and that it used to be a thing we already spent time over. And ever since she met Cameron, she goes to him for any car need she has. I told her it felt like she didn't need me anymore. That she didn't need me as a man anymore, since he knew more about cars and had a shop and a lift and everything they ever needed. So you go from, he doesn't bother me because he's unattractive, to you feeling totally threatened by this guy. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you started off as just friends. Now she's just friends with this guy. Right? And now you're communicating weakness, insecurity, that you don't feel like you're a man anymore because she's spending more time with this guy. These are things you don't need to say to her, because it communicates that you are bothered by this to the point where it's threatening your manhood. And it shouldn't be that way. When you feel disrespected by a woman, you communicate. If she doesn't change her behavior, you walk away. In this case, when you see her fooling around with this guy, you already knew it was time to walk away. And especially since you knew she'd been with 23 men. So she'd been tossed around and slept with all these different guys. I would never trust a woman like that around a man. Right? She's got no emotional self-control. She's only focused on lust. She doesn't value herself. You started off as friends and actually spending time with this guy. So of course all of this put together is going to bother you. But what you do in this case is leave. Because again, you're trying to communicate your needs again. And when a woman doesn't respect you and she doesn't have the emotional intelligence to understand how you feel, it's not going to change. Because in this case, you and I both know that Chloe is emotionally screwed up because of her upbringing. Therefore, you trying to communicate with her again is going to go in one ear and out the other. Okay, it's not your fault she's this way, but you'll communicate more weakness, more neediness, which isn't necessary. She never acknowledged my concerns. You go. In one ear, out the other. But never, she acknowledged my concerns, but never really made any effort or any attempt to change. Actions speak louder than words. Look at what she's doing, not what she says. Does it match? Or does it not add up? At this point, she still acted very happy and was very affectionate towards me, and I thought things were going great. My biggest fault was those last 4 months. I quit my most recent job and spent the last 4 months of our relationship not working as I wanted to start a business. I will admit I was being very content and didn't have a huge drive during these months to pursue said business. And I spent these last few months not working, which I'm sure bothered her. Well, I mean, look, you basically gave up everything. And now you become relationship focused. You're not focused on your career. You're not working on your business, your goals, because at the end of the day, that is masculine. Okay? Masculine men are goal and purpose oriented. You're focused on achieving, adding value, creating and building something of value, of worth. That is what men do. That should always be your number one in life. Women, being feminine, the nurturers, the carers, it is in their DNA, it is in their nature to be the ones that are relationship focused. It is in their nature to be the one who is focused on you, her friends, her family, the relationships around her. Loving and nurturing, being open, being receptive to love. That is feminine. That is not masculine. So now you give up your hobbies, right? You know, because he also told me that he gave up his Xbox because she didn't want him to do it anymore. So he gave up that, which you should never do. You quit your job, you say you're going to start a business, you don't do it. So you're sitting there doing nothing. So where does your focus go? Where does your energy go? Onto the only thing you have going for you, which is your girlfriend. In this case, your ex, Chloe. But hey, the good news is Caleb, that's why he's very coachable when I did speak to him. He's very honest about the mistakes he made. And he's willing and he was open to change his mind. And now he knows, what to look for, right? But again, this is also going to help him, refresh his mind. And also for all you guys watching that have gone through something similar or who are just looking to learn something new. She never communicated during this time period that she wasn't happy with how she felt. Well, we already know she's not a good communicator. She always told me she was happy. That's what she's telling you, but her actions will always tell you a different story. Fast forward towards the last week of our relationship, her car got wrecked and she was spending a lot of time at camera shop. They got to a point where there wasn't a ton of work, but she was still spending lengthy hours at his shop, often staying over there till 11 or 12. I asked her one day if she could be home when I got off work. He says here in brackets, new job. So he obviously was working at somewhere else. To which she agreed. I was just wanting to spend some time with her because she'd been working on her car as of lately. When I got home, to no surprise, she wasn't there. I called her upset, almost having to beg her to come home. So what am I saying here? What did I just say before? He gave up everything and he became relationship focused. When a man becomes the pursuer in the relationship, the woman's going to lose all interest. Guys, women are emotional beings. Women always care about their imagination, their feelings. That is what's special to a woman. That is how you engage her, okay, on an intimate level. So when you as the man, you are productive, you are busy on your career, on your business, you're hanging out with your buddies, you're focused on some hobbies, that gives her time and space away to miss you. That means when she is away from you, she has time to think about you, wonder what you're up to. This creates mystery, intrigue. This builds sexual tension. This engages her emotions and her feelings, and she starts to wonder, when am I going to hear from him again? When is he going to text me? When is he going to come home? I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to hear about his day. That is important and healthy to have in a relationship. This gives her the room and space to miss you, which means when you're at work or you're studying or whatever you're doing, guys, she's going to want to text you and call you. I miss you. I love you. Can't wait to see you later. When are you coming home? Please, text me as soon as you're free. I want to talk to you. That is what women do when they're into you. When you give them the time and space to miss you and you let them be the woman in the relationship. But instead he flipped it and he became relationship focused. And now she's out late with this Cameron guy, yeah? And he's calling her as if he's the woman. When are you coming home? Can you please come back? And practically having to beg her to spend time with him. I wonder what this did to her interest. Better find out. He said, then she finally came home and said she thinks we needed a break. In other words, you're displaying so much weakness now that what I'm going to do is sit back and see if Cameron really is a suitable match for me. She said she was going to stay at her grandmother's for the week while I stayed at the apartment. Halfway through the week, I learned that she had been staying with Cameron at his parents at their house. So the girl that has been railed by 23 men is staying the night with her male bestie. What a coincidence. Truth in plain sight. I don't have to say anything more about that. I didn't think anything of it. You should have thought a lot of it. As me and her had stayed at their house in their guest bedroom several times while working on her car. Yeah, you and her. I mean, it's not like Cameron's gonna sneak in and just rip her away from you there and then, is he? Her reasoning was that they were out late working on her car, which is at the shop at their house, and that her grandma's was over an hour away from her work the next morning. Nice little excuse she's given you there. The next part really threw me off, as she said that he invited her to watch movies with him in his bedroom. What a nice friend. I'm sure they just watch movies and nothing else, because this girl's totally trustworthy. Read between the lines. Now keep in mind I've known the guy for a year, and at the time called him a good friend, and I trusted Chloe with all my heart, so I didn't really think anything was going on, but it was indeed a head scratcher. Do you know where that head scratcher comes from? You and her started out as friends. Then you became, as you said, best friends. You bonded over your love for cars. It seems like she's following the same pattern with this guy. They both have a love for cars. Apparently he knows more about fixing cars than you. Right? Now, there's that, right? They start off as friends. Where does that go? Same way it went for you. So of course, you're going to feel like something's off. I didn't feel threatened by this man at all. He knew Chloe and I'd been dating for years, and he even talked me through some of my feelings during this break, giving me advice. You do not want to share advice or ask for advice from a guy who is in close proximity and is always talking to your girlfriend. Because anything you say, it's going to get back to her. Got to be very careful with that. So anyways, Chloe gets back from the break and decides to break up with me. Another coincidence. When a chick says she wants a break, it basically means I'm going to put you on standby as I find another guy to go with behind your back. And if the guy's a suitable match, I'll come back to you and dump you. And if he's not a good match for me, I'll dump him cut him off, go back to you, and we can continue our relationship on my terms. A good woman ain't going to do this to you guys, I'm telling you. But these women that are promiscuous, that are screwed up, this is what they do. Okay? It's never anything to do with you, it's all to do with them. Okay, it's so important to understand that. So, she gets back from the break and decides to break up with me. I move out and go home to my parents. I move home and go back to my parents' place, and surprise, surprise, they are talking the next day. So many coincidences in this email. After a 3-year relationship, Chloe moved on the very next day. It's not that she moved on the very next day. This woman had emotionally checked out long ago. And since she has a low self-esteem, she is going to basically line up a replacement behind your back. Because when a woman doesn't have a lot of self-worth, in this case, no integrity, okay, no self-esteem, remember, she doesn't enjoy her own company. She doesn't love or like herself. So therefore, the thought of being alone is going to scare her. So instead of taking the time to heal and recover by herself after the breakup, like a normal woman would, what she does is line up a replacement, go behind your back. So she's already got him on standby to feed her attention instead of being alone. Therefore, it's just better than nothing. That's really what she's doing. So you look at it and think, oh wow, she's moved on the next day. She'd emotionally detached long ago. And especially a woman like this, who's grew up in a broken home and she's promiscuous, she didn't really bond with you emotionally the way you did. Okay? You did, because you're capable of doing so. She didn't. Okay, women like this, unfortunately, they're just like hollow vessels. They see you more like an object, more than like a person. I know it's sad to say, but emotionally stunted individuals, i.e. narcissists, this is exactly what they're like. They've got no remorse. They don't care. It's all about me, me, me. Over the phone, she admitted to me she got feelings for him while staying at his house. But again, they were just watching movies, right? Chloe seemed very interested during the first half of the break about getting back together, and the second, not so much. She claimed she didn't leave me for him, and she wasn't genuinely unhappy with our relationship, and that she was emotionally checked out weeks before the break, more like months and months ago. So what's your feedback on all this? I know this sounds like the stereotypical monkey branching. Is it a no-brainer that she cheated on me? It's a no-brainer. I can't tell if she genuinely likes this guy, or if she's dating him to fill the void of our breakup. I would say she definitely likes him from a, compatibility point of view, in the sense of they both like the same things, but chemistry-wise, not really. But a woman like this that has, a low self-esteem, a girl that has been damaged emotionally and has been ran through, because she's easy and emotionally screwed up, she doesn't have standards. She doesn't even know what she likes in a man. So even if a guy is very unattractive, and he showed me a picture of this guy and he's not wrong, and then he showed me a picture of him and her, he's a good looking guy, right? So I understand why he was so shocked. This guy's so unattractive, he didn't see it coming. But what you have to understand is, women like this that are easy women, they have no standards, they're indiscriminate. For them, a man is just an object, like a vessel to use. Is it going to give me attention? Is it going to give me finances? Is it going to give me, validation? Or, if she wants to have sex with a guy, just physical attention. Like prostitutes, sluts, that's what this type of women are like. So she's basically, yes, is she dating him to fill the void of the breakup? Absolutely. And also, she likes him on the sense of, at least he's compatible in some way. So at least for the meantime, it's like temporary, almost like a rebound. It's better than nothing, right? Because women like this, they're unable to pair bond. So they never truly develop a relationship with you. The same way she didn't communicate with you, she was self-centered, it will eventually come out on her behavior with this next guy. And obviously he's a loser as well, because he knows that she cheated on you to be with him. She's going to do it to him at some point when her needs aren't met. That's reality, guys. They don't really have anything in common other than cars, which is why I'm unsure her intentions on dating him. Well, look at you. The only thing you guys had in common was cars. That's all she needs. Hey, at least if she dates a guy that can fix cars, she can use him for that. That's all I'm saying here. She's using him, she could, because she likes him in the sense that he's of value to her by his utility, what he can do for her. And of course he's going to fill the void, because this woman is always going to jump from guy to guy to guy. I mean, Caleb, I'm talking to you now. You remember what you told me? When her parents got the divorce, between that time to where she got to know you, 23 guys. The whole town. I mean, what type of woman that has self-respect is going to open herself up and give herself to all those different men she doesn't even care or truly like? You don't want to date women like this. He said, I've been trying my best to completely forget about her, move on, but my brain keeps obsessing over the good times and memories. Any feedback would be appreciated, Christian. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. So guys, this is Caleb's email. As you guys know, I did coach him. That's why I gave you guys the extra information that he told me about her background and her sexual past. These things are really important to consider. Now, I will say, Caleb is lucky because even though she dumped his ass and he's been recovering and healing, he did not get her pregnant. He's not a single dad. He's not paying child support, right? And he gets to start fresh. And next time around, choose a much better quality, right? At the end of the day, you want to ask yourself quality questions about a woman. Think about this, guys. Imagine it's 10 years from now, whatever, you got a daughter. She comes home and tells you that she slept with 23 guys. Would you not feel ashamed? And another thing Caleb told me was there were times where he'd think to himself, if he were to marry her and have kids, he wouldn't feel too comfortable knowing that she'd be the mother of his children. Look, with the red flags with this particular girl, they were evident at the very beginning, from day one. Okay? Whereas, is it true that there are certain things that a woman can hide that are going to come out later in the relationship, like toxic behavior, negative traits? Sure. But a woman's past behavior is an indication of future behavior. Because if she's been with 23 guys, it's not like she slept with one high school boyfriend, one college boyfriend, and she went, you know what, it didn't work out. I need to hold my value and not give myself to other men. Right? Because a good woman knows no man of quality is going to take her seriously if she slept with all the different guys. Okay? Cannot turn a hoe into a housewife. If you guys are looking for a woman of value, a woman that's going to be a great addition to your life, that's going to be a compliment to your life, a woman that could be a wife, could be, if you have kids, could be the mother of your children. Well, ask yourself, what type of woman is she? Does she have dignity? Does she have integrity? Is she feminine? Is she a good communicator? These are the things to consider. Alright? Do not settle. Okay? Keep your standards high. And please, please avoid women like this. Because it's not going to end well for you. Again, Caleb was lucky. Okay? He dodged the bullet. He's got a chance to start again. Young, can find another beautiful woman with good values. She, on the other hand, does not have that opportunity because she's already destroyed her value. Okay, this woman is for the streets. And, girls that frequent clubs, girls that are constantly getting drunk on the weekend, girls that are engaging in one night stands, they're not relationship material. Women like this, that have all these sexual partners, and then they're self-centered, it's not going to end well. So guys, please, take it very slow when you meet a woman. Get to know her. Ask questions. Remove your emotions and your lust. Okay? And look at reality for what it is. And you can save yourself a lot of heartbreak. Because as a man, you must also test women as well, the same way they test us men, to determine if we're safe to be around, if we're confident, if we're honest. You want to test women too. What is her value? What is her worth? Is she faithful? Is she feminine? Is she someone that you truly want in your life? Or are you only dating her because you got nothing going for you and you're just happy to have a woman, or because you're horny? You have to be honest with yourself as well. That's the video for today. So guys, if you would like to receive my opinion on your situation, or you would like to share your experience, any questions with me privately, the email will be down in the description. So guys, that's the video. Give it a like, subscribe, comment down below any thoughts you have on what happened to Caleb, or any other questions you have. And as always, have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.